You ever wonder where poems actually come from? Like, is it just some kind of magic trick? Well, today we're gonna go on a little journey to find out what really lights that fire, that poet's spark. Let's dive in. So, when you think of poetry, what pops into your head? Is it all just rhyming words, like the cat in the hat? I mean, a lot of people think that, but what if I told you poetry is so much bigger? What if it's about the fast break in a basketball game, or about your family? Or maybe even about a dog you really, really loved. All right, to help us figure this all out, we're going to meet a kid named Jack. He's the main character in the book Love That Dog. And let me tell you, at the beginning, Jack is, well, he's not a poetry fan, not at all. But his story, it's going to show us exactly where the real magic of poetry is hiding. Okay, so picture this. Jack's in his classroom, right? And his teacher, Miss Stretchberry, keeps telling him to write poems. And Jack is just not into it at all. He's thinking, I can't do this. And even more, I don't want to do this. I mean, this is literally what he writes in his journal. Does that sound familiar at all? Maybe you felt that way before. But listen, this is just where his story starts. You gotta remember this part, because we're about to see a massive change in Jack. And it all kicks off with one really simple but super powerful idea. So, what's that secret ingredient? The thing that flips the switch for Jack? It's one word: inspiration. But what does that even mean, really? Let's break it down. You know, it's like that little push, that aha moment you get. It's when a memory or a sound or just a feeling is so big and so strong that you feel like you have to get it out. You have to put it down on paper. That's the why behind every single poem. And that feeling, that's the key piece of evidence we're going to be hunting for. Okay, so here's the most important part to get. Poetry is not just some game with words. It's about telling your story. It's about sharing what you're really feeling inside and capturing something true. It's all about making someone else feel what you're feeling. And that is exactly what Jack is about to figure out. Now, Jack didn't just wake up one day and get this. Nope. His teacher, she introduced him to the work of some truly incredible poets. You know, real-life people who basically became his mentors and showed him what he could do. So let's meet a few of them, and you'll see how their own lives turned into their biggest inspiration. First up, we've got the legend himself, Langston Hughes. He was a huge part of the Harlem Renaissance, this amazing time in New York City where art and culture were just exploding. And his poetry, wow, it didn't just tell you about life, it made you feel the rhythm of it, like a heartbeat you could actually hear in the words. See, Hughes found his inspiration all around him. He'd listen to the jazz and blues music spilling out of the clubs in Harlem and put that same beat, that same rhythm, right into his poems. A lot of the time he used something called free verse, which means it doesn't have to rhyme, so it sounds more like someone's actually talking or singing. He wrote about the everyday people he saw on the street, their problems, their happy moments, their dreams. For him, poetry was literally the voice of his community. Okay, let's jump forward in time to a more modern poet, Kwame Alexander. This guy is so cool. He writes entire novels just using poetry, and he makes it feel as fast and exciting as a game of basketball. So, just like Langston Hughes used jazz, Kwame Alexander uses the beat of hip-hop and the fast-paced energy of basketball. If you look at his books, you'll see short lines and a lot of empty space on the page. That's on purpose. It makes your eyes move super fast, just like players running up and down the court. He really shows us that your inspiration can come from anything you love: sports, music, your family, anything. All right, next up is the powerful, absolutely unforgettable Maya Angelou. Her voice is just filled with strength and hope. And for her, her biggest source of inspiration was her own life story. I mean, Maya Angelou went through some unbelievably tough times in her life, but she took all that pain and transformed it into these incredibly powerful poems, like her famous one, Still I Rise. Her inspiration really came from wanting to speak up for people who felt like they didn't have a voice, and to show the whole world just how strong people can be. She literally turned her own life into a message of hope for everybody. And speaking of that power to speak for others, that brings us to another amazing modern voice, Amanda Gorman. You probably know her. She became famous as the youngest poet ever to perform at a presidential inauguration. Her words really capture the big hopes and the big challenges that we're all facing today. Amanda Gorman finds her inspiration right here, right now, in the world around us. She writes about big ideas like social justice and coming together, and about the incredible power that young people have to change things. What's really cool is she even takes her own personal struggles, like a speech difference she used to have, and turns it into a source of strength. She uses her own story to lift other people up. And finally, let's talk about Jacqueline Woodson. She's a fantastic, award-winning author who has this incredible gift for turning her own memories from when she was a kid into beautiful, really moving stories and poems. For Jacqueline Woodson, it's all about memory. That's where her inspiration comes from. Her book, Brown Girl Dreaming, is her whole life story told in poems. And she uses what we call vivid imagery. That's just words that paint a really clear picture in your head to make her childhood memories feel totally real for us, the readers. She proves that our own past, our own memories, are just packed with poems waiting to be written. Okay, so what does all of this have to do with Jack, right? Well, after his teacher had him read poems by all these amazing writers, something inside him started to change. He started to get it. Poetry wasn't about finding the perfect rhyme. It was about writing about real feelings. And this is it. This is the big transformation. You can see it right here. He goes from that frustrated kid saying, "No way, boys don't write poetry," to finding the single most important reason in the world to write. Suddenly, it wasn't just another school assignment. He had found his own inspiration. And it came from a place of pure love. Think about it. Just like Jacqueline Woodson used her memories, and just like Maya Angelou used her life story, Jack found his inspiration in something that was super personal to him, the love he had for his dog, Sky. That memory and that feeling of loving something so much and then losing it, it was so powerful that writing a poem became the only way he could really truly say what he felt. So, seeing how all these amazing poets, and even Jack, found their voices, well, it proves that every single one of us has a story to tell. So now that you're getting ready for your quiz and to write your own essay, let's pull all these ideas together into a handy little toolkit that you can use. Here's a little cheat sheet to help you remember the big takeaway from all this. Just look at how different all their inspirations are. You've got music, sports, memory, hope. They're all over the place. But what's the one thing they all have in common? Every single one started with something that was totally real and personal to the poet. And when it comes time for your essay, you can use this toolkit. For your intro, maybe start with a big question, kind of like we did at the beginning of this. Then, for your evidence, and this is the most important part, you got to use specific examples from what you've read. You need to explain how Maya Angelou's life story actually shows up in her poems, or how Jack's feelings for his dog completely changed his writing. And then for your conclusion, just bring it all back home to that one big idea. Poetry comes from the heart. So, what have we learned? Poetry comes from music, from memories, from tough times, and from love. It comes from real life. The greatest poets in the world, and even a kid like Jack, found their voices the moment they found their story. So that really only leaves one question left, doesn't it? What's yours?